When Sinners released in 2025, it wasn't a franchise sequel. It wasn't a reboot. It wasn't part of a cinematic universe. And yet, the conversation around it and the legacy it quickly built made it feel like one of the defining films of the year. Directed by Ryan Coogler, known globally for Black Panther and Creed, Sinners immediately carried weight. Not because of marketing noise, but because of who was behind it, who starred in it, and what it attempted to do. Starring Michael B. Jordan in a dual role as twin brothers Smoke and Stack, the film blended historical Southern drama, blues culture, and supernatural horror. An unusual combination for a major studio release. But what made it feel big? Sinners was written and directed by Ryan Coogler under his production company, Proximity Media, and distributed by Warner Brothers Pictures. After the massive global success of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, Coogler had significant industry leverage. Instead of building another franchise installment, he developed an original story set in 1932 Mississippi during the Jim Crow era, focusing on twin brothers returning home to open a juke joint. The setting wasn't accidental. The Mississippi Delta of the 1930s is historically tied to the birth of blues music. The film weaves this cultural reality into its narrative, not as background decoration, but as a thematic core. Composer Ludwig Göransson, who previously won Academy Awards for Black Panther and Oppenheimer, returned to collaborate with Coogler. The music blends traditional Delta blues instrumentation with atmospheric horror scoring, creating a tonal identity that critics frequently cited as immersive and original. Michael B. Jordan portrays both Smoke and Stack, twin brothers with distinct personalities. Smoke is grounded, pragmatic, cautious. Stack is more impulsive, charismatic, and emotionally volatile. Technically, dual performances are difficult. Jordan worked with motion control rigs and body doubles to create convincing interactions between the brothers. In interviews, he described the process as physically and emotionally draining, especially during confrontation scenes where he acted opposite himself for extended hours. One pivotal scene inside the juke joint shows Smoke trying to maintain order while Stack leans into the chaos of the night's energy. The tension in that exchange is built through performance, not exposition. Jordan's work earned him a Best Actor nomination at the Academy Awards, a significant achievement considering the genre blend of the film. One of the most discussed sequences in Sinners is the extended juke joint performance. The scene begins with live blues music, candlelight, sweat-drenched faces, and handheld camera work that moves through the crowd. Cinematographer Autumn Durald Arkapaw uses warm tones and shallow depth of field to create intimacy before slowly shifting into darker visual language as the supernatural elements emerge. Critics pointed out that this scene marks the tonal pivot of the film. The horror does not abruptly appear, it bleeds into the cultural celebration of music. When the first supernatural attack occurs, the violence feels earned, because the film invested time building atmosphere. This sequence is frequently cited in reviews as the moment Sinners shifts from historical drama into operatic horror. Most major studio horror films stay within recognizable formulas. Sinners does not. It combines historical drama rooted in racial tension of 1930s Mississippi, blues musical sequences, vampire horror mythology, social commentary on exploitation and legacy. This hybrid structure could have failed commercially. Instead, it resonated. The film avoided cheap jump scares in favor of slow burn tension. Reviews from major outlets described it as ambitious, genre-defying, and one of the boldest mainstream films of the year. That ambition contributes heavily to why it feels larger than a standard horror release. The film was produced on a budget estimated between $90 to $100 million. Worldwide box office gross reached approximately $368 to $369 million. For an original period horror film not based on existing IP, those numbers are significant. It did not perform like a billion-dollar franchise entry, but within its category, it outperformed expectations. Industry analysts noted strong word-of-mouth momentum in North America, especially during its second and third weekends, a sign of audience retention rather than front-loaded hype. Financially, it was a success, but numbers alone don't explain why it feels historic. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film maintained approval ratings in the high 90s during its theatrical run. Metacritic scores placed it in the universal acclaim category. CinemaScore reported an A+ audience rating, extremely rare for horror films, which often divide audiences. The consensus among critics emphasized Coogler's confident direction, Jordan's layered dual performance, the integration of music and horror, production design, authenticity. When critical and audience reception align at that level, a film begins to take on cultural weight. Perhaps the most measurable reason the film feels monumental is its award trajectory. At the 98th Academy Awards, Sinners received 16 nominations, the highest number ever achieved by a single film. Nominations included Best Picture, Best Director, Ryan Coogler, Best Actor, Michael B. Jordan, Supporting Actor and Actress nominations, Cinematography, Costume Design, Original Score, and Production Design. This placed Sinners historically alongside films like Titanic and La La Land in nomination count. For a horror-leaning period film, that level of Academy recognition is rare. The Oscars elevated the film from commercial success to historical milestone. Beyond performances and awards, the technical work amplified the scale. Costume designer Ruth E. Carter recreated 1930s Delta attire with historical precision. Set designers constructed authentic wooden juke interiors rather than relying on digital backdrops. Practical effects were prioritized during horror sequences. In interviews, Michael B. Jordan mentioned the physical intensity of blood-heavy scenes and how practical gore created stronger reactions during filming. The commitment to tangible environments gives the film texture, something audiences subconsciously register. Sinners released during a period where many major studio films relied on sequels and existing intellectual property. Its originality made it stand out. It also centers Black Southern history and blues culture in a genre framework rarely seen at this budget level. That cultural positioning makes the film feel academically and historically relevant, not just entertaining. Film scholars have already discussed its thematic exploration of ownership, legacy, and exploitation within both horror mythology and American history. When a film enters academic conversation so quickly, it feels larger than a seasonal release. Sinners was not a billion-dollar franchise film. It was not the loudest movie of the year on social media, but it achieved nearly $370 million globally, critical acclaim across major outlets, rare audience satisfaction scores, record-breaking Academy nominations, cultural and academic discussion. Scale is not only about revenue, scale is about impact. And Sinners achieved measurable impact across financial, critical, and institutional metrics. That is why it feels bigger than it was marketed to be. It didn't rely on noise. It relied on craft, performance, risk, and recognition. And sometimes, that's what truly defines a big film. If you made it this far, you clearly love movies, so subscribe because we're gonna keep diving into the ones that deserve more attention, and trust me, there are a lot of them.